Hi, it's Mike Ferry, and welcome to Mike Ferry TV. It's week of January 7th, 2013. We hope that you had a great holiday season. We hope that's behind you, and you're ready for an exciting new year. As some of you know, we just completed 100 plus thoughts on prospecting and lead follow-up. And I have to tell you, we had the biggest viewership we've ever had since we started doing these programs several years ago. We actually averaged over the last 13 weeks 12 to 14,000 people per week viewing those 100 plus thoughts on prospecting lead follow-up. But the truth is, we've discovered that every time we have one person viewing, there might be 8 or 10 sitting in a room watching. So we've had tremendous response. Thank you for your participation. And I think this particular series for the next 13 weeks, 100 plus thoughts on listing property, will be very, very valuable to you. You and I know that if you're going to become any kind of a reasonable, consistent producer in real estate, it's always going to revolve around taking listings. There's just simply no way to make a substantial amount of money long term and build a business of any type without becoming a strong listing agent. So what we're going to do over the next couple of months is we're going to work real hard together, you and I, on how to help you develop the mindset, the attitude, the skills, and as importantly, the ability to go out and take listings on a regular basis. You, of course, have to decide where you want your income to come from. The majority of all agents, the majority of your competitors, probably the people that work in your office, believe that the way to make money in real estate is to show property to buyers. And yes, you can make a living showing property to buyers. Key words, make a living. Will you ever make the kind of money that you want? No. Now let's take a minute and let's think about all the top producers that you know, that you've met, that you've heard about. Let's say, for example, through the Mike Ferry organization. Because if you look at the fact that we are able to populate the real estate industry with virtually hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of top producers who all have one common quality. They're great listing agents. Now, why would I want to become a great listing agent? And the answer is first point on 100 plus thoughts on listing property. I want to become a great listing agent because I have two choices every single day in real estate. Do I want to be the employer, ER, or the employee, which is EE, in the real estate business? Now, why do I say it that way? Well, the employer is obviously the person that has inventory, that has listings. The employee is the person that is working every day to go out and sell those listings that the employer has. Well, obvious question for each and every one of us. Generally speaking, who makes more money, employer or employee? Now, I think you know the answer, and that's the employer. Well, in real estate, the employer is the real estate agent who dominates and controls and has inventory at all times. Now, you don't have to have 20, 30, 40 listings to be the employer. But if you're regularly, consistently taking 2 to 3 to 4 listings per month, you're going to employ the majority of all the agents in your town to work for you, especially if you follow this program for the next 3 months and learn how to become a great listing agent. I'm not as concerned about the fact that you're doing 25, 50, 75, 100 new listings per year as I'm concerned about the fact that you understand the value in being a great listing agent. And when you understand the value in being a great listing agent and you're out taking listings on a regular basis based on your goals and your objectives, then you'll see the value of being the employer versus the employee. You know today, and you're very cognizant of this, you take a good listing, immediately other good people in your office, in your local board, are going to run out and try to show that property. In fact, over the last 6 to 8 months of 2012, and as we start 2013, it's very apparent that anybody that has a listing that's even reasonably good is going to have offers reasonably quick. So therefore, I want to be the person that controls the environment, controls the business, controls the inventory by becoming the employer. And the employer is always the listing agent. So point number 1 of our 100 plus thoughts is very simple. I have to decide if I'm going to be the employer or the employee. And then I want you to think carefully. How often do you meet a person that does 50, 75, 100 transactions per year that actually is spending all their time working with a buyer? And the answer is never. It just doesn't happen. Now exclude the fact that you had some REO agents the last few years that were selling a lot of homes because of the REO market. I'm not talking about that type of inventory. I'm talking about the sellers in your marketplace that are moving up, moving down, moving in, moving out, and moving around that you obviously have to list. Let's go to point number 2 of our 100 plus thoughts. I wrote it this way: the key to listing property is self-confidence. The key to self-confidence is knowing your scripts. Remember the old axiom, which you've heard me say time and time again. I said it during the prospecting portion of our program, and it goes like this: knowledge equals confidence, and ignorance equals fear. See, if I do not know what to do, if I do not know what to say, I am going to be stymied, and I'm going to be sitting in my office or in my home wondering what to do. When I know what to do and when I know what to say, I'm going to go out every single day and do something productive with my time. See, my question for each of you is this: can you sit with any seller in any price range in your area and make an effective professional listing presentation? If the answer that you just had roam through your head was not an immediate yes, then we have some work to do on building your confidence. How do you build a person's confidence? And the answer is very simple. You build confidence by specializing in knowing what to say in every aspect of a sales situation. See, if you walk into a house and the seller says, well, I'm glad you came over, and you say, I'm glad to be here, and the first thing the seller says, well, how much is my house worth? Well, I've kind of, I've did some research here, and, I've put together some numbers, and I'm pretty sure that it's, pretty much around that $250,000 range. How much confidence does that instill in a seller? The answer is 0. If a seller asks you a question, you have to have a definitive, defined, direct, to the point answer every time they ask a question. If they give you an objection, you have to be very quick in your response to handle that objection. That only comes from knowing what to say. You never see a successful person in the field of selling that is at a loss for what to say in a selling situation. So point number 2, the key to listing property is confidence. The key to confidence is knowing what to say, knowing your scripts. Well, here's the thought. Do you have scripts? Do you have anything you're actually trying to follow? If you don't, obviously go to MikeFerry.com and download today, that's your assignment, download today all of the Mike Ferry scripts for listing property. Start putting those scripts into effect today. Don't let a day go by where you're not reading, rereading, practicing, role-playing those scripts to build your confidence so you can go out and become a strong listing agent. Point number 3, okay, is a question that I wrote down for you. I'll read it to you if I may. What percentage of the time are you going to get the listing no matter what you say and what you do on that presentation? Now think about that question. What percentage of the time are you going to get the listing no matter what you say or what you do? And for most people in real estate, it may be 3 to 5% of the time. Okay, you have a come list me. You have a neighbor that says, I want you to take my listing. Your relatives say, would you list my home for sale? You're going to get the listing sometimes in spite of yourself and what you say. But the truth is, we're not going to get enough listings if we don't know how to answer this question properly. Watch. What percentage of the time am I going to get the listing no matter what I say and what I do? And the answer is a very small percentage. So therefore, going back to thought number 2 that we just gave you, that ability to walk in, know what to say, to control that conversation, to be in charge, to be in control, that's your job. Now, guys and gals, here's what you have to think about. They're going to pay you 6% of $200,000, $400,000, $600,000, $800,000. Do you think they want a person that knows what they're doing? Do you think they want a person that knows what to say? Do you think they want a person that is completely in control of the process? And the answer is yes, 100% of the time. So here's what we have to look at. If I'm getting listings in spite of myself, am I getting enough listings? And the answer is going to be what? In most cases, no. See, if you're getting listings now and then, it means you don't know what to say to go out and get listings now. Let's go to point number 4. Since the average agent is only going to get a listing any place from 20 to 40% of the time, why take so much time on the presentation? You know, I have to tell you, I kid with some of my competitors that do the same kind of work we do. And I have to tell you, I feel sorry for some of you that pay attention to my competitors and the work they do. You know, my competitors teach you to go into the house and spend an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours on a listing presentation. You gotta be kidding me. Now think about it for just a minute. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the power to walk in and talk for 2 hours straight to convince the seller how to sell. If you're watching Mike Ferry TV, most of these segments only run 12, 14, 15 minutes. Because I know that your ability to focus and concentrate on what I'm saying after about 15 minutes dwindles very quickly. So what we teach a person is this. We say, okay, we have a 1-minute listing presentation. We have a 5-minute listing presentation if the 1-minute presentation doesn't work. We have a 20-minute presentation if the 5-minute doesn't work. Why? Because we want to speed up the process. Why do we want to speed up the process? Because the longer you talk, the less chance you have of getting a listing. Our goal for each of you by the time we finish this series in March is to move you up from 20% to 40% to 60% to 80% of the time when you go on a listing presentation, you get the contract signed. That's our goal, to get you 80% of the time to get the contract signed. Now think about this. You go on 10 presentations in the course of a month, you're going to get 8 listing contracts signed. And in today's economy, you get 8 contracts signed, you're going to have 8 sales in the next 60 days. If I was sitting in front of you, I would ask all of you this question. How many of you want to make more money this year than last year? Raise your hand, and all your hands would go up. Good, how are you going to do it? And the answer is to learn to list property, and to learn to do it right, and learn to do it today. So here's our goal, to get you to 80% of the time. You can do this. But to make that happen, here's your second homework assignment. Look at 2012 and look back and say, what percentage of the time when I went on a listing presentation did I actually get the contract signed? When you determine the answer to that, then you'll know what you have to learn, what you have to say, what you have to do to improve the quality of what you do. Again, if you're going out on a regular basis and getting 20, 30, 40% of the contract signed after a presentation, that means the majority of the time, the seller is firing you before you've had a chance to even do the job. Let's look at point number 4, okay? On a listing presentation, one of the following is almost always going to happen. A, you'll be outpriced by the competition. You'll say the property's worth $395, competition says no, $425, somebody else says $475, somebody takes it at $550. You're going to be outpriced. B, you'll be out-commissioned. You'll walk in and say, I want 6%. Somebody else says, I'll do it for 5. Somebody says for 4. You can't win that game some of the time. You'll be out-bonded. Oh, I love your house, and I love you folks, and I'm here to serve you. You'll be out-bonded. Happens all the time. D, you'll be out-advertised or out-promoted. I'm going to put in 4 pages of advertising if you list your home with me today. And of course, there's going to be times when you'll decide not to take the listing. Any of these things can happen, but they don't happen unless you're on a listing presentation. But when you know what to say, and you have the confidence to say it, and you know what to do, and you have the confidence to do it, you're not going to be outpriced very often. You're not going to be out-commissioned very often. You're certainly not going to be out-bonded very often, and you're not going to be out-advertised. But 20% of the time, you'll decide not to take the listing. And that's okay, because 80% of the time, you're going to get it. We want to help you get to the point that in the calendar year 2013, you're taking as many listings as you want, as often as you want to take them, so they can sell and put you the money in your pocket that you deserve. 2013 is going to be a lot better for you than 2012 if you started in the last series on prospecting lead follow-up and you follow through on this series. Don't miss one of these TV sessions. They're way too valuable. Okay, homework. A, I want you to go back and I want you to download all the listing scripts and start reading them before next week. Homework assignment B, and this is very important, look back at how many presentations you went on in 2012, how often you took the listing. I think we can improve. And today's the first day of making that happen. Welcome to 100 Plus Thoughts on Listing Property. See you next week.